Okay, so I have here on the call with me from Northern Vertex the CEO, Ken Berry, Chris Curran, and the CFO, Chris Park. Gentlemen, thank you for joining the call.
Thank you very much, Rob, for having us.
Yeah, not a problem. And I appreciate you guys giving time to have a conversation and willing to provide this out to investors. I know it really helps for investors to hear from the company executives on what's been going on and where you guys are. And to that point, I think the recent news has you guys doing a streaming agreement with Maverix for the silver in the project. I don't know if you guys want to take a few moments and talk about that stream agreement and what it means to your company.
Sure, Rob. As you know, we've been in the process of ramping up the Moss mine into commercial production. Over the last 18 months, it's been a very busy time for Northern Vertex and our management and operational team. We went through an extensive construction period with M3, Golder and Associates, and others, and we were successful at building out the project and moving towards production in 2018. Specifically in about March, we started production. We started our ramp up, and over the subsequent 5 months, we were able to exceed many expectations that the feasibility had called for. But it wasn't without many speed bumps and roadblocks along the way. But we did declare commercial production September 1st of 2018. And most recently, what we've done is we've actually retired our $20 million U.S. Debt facility with Sprott. We retired that in the total amount, and it was replaced with Maverix streaming arrangement, and that's a $20 million facility which allows them access to our byproduct silver production. So in terms of shoring up our balance sheet, strengthening our balance sheet, this was something that was very significant to the shareholders of Northern Vertex, and in conjunction with that streaming arrangement, we also raised US $8 million equity financing for additional working capital. And production continues along. We are making improvements weekly and looking forward to a strong 2019.
Okay, great. So in terms of the balance sheet, it seems as though this has removed the debt off your balance sheet, as well as giving you cash for operations in the coming year and potentially for some exploration. Is that about capsulize it, or is there any additional points that you'd like to add?
No, I think you've described it accurately. Basically what it did is it removed payments of up to $1.3 million monthly towards our debt, and it now is more in line with our production ramp up and provides Maverix access to our silver, which is approximately just over 10% of our production. So really it's a byproduct for us. Our focus is the gold production. So this was a very good transaction for the shareholders of Northern Vertex.
Okay, great. And from the Maverix end of the deal, they'll be getting access to the silver that you guys are producing over the life of the mine, with an additional, it seems like in the provision for any additional resource that you come upon in exploration, they have the option to maybe purchase into that as well. Is that correct?
Yes, the Moss mine, which is located in northwest Arizona, has approximately 8 to 9 year mine life. And I think with Maverix endorsement and the arrangements with the silver stream, this was also a strong indication that the Moss mine has exploration upside and potentially a much longer life than the current 8 to 9 year mine life. So definitely they participated in this in anticipation that we would explore and discover new ounces.
Okay, and maybe take a moment to talk about the district and the exploration potential that you guys see there. I note that you certainly have developed resource and done the feasibility studies and have ramped up into production this year, but you also have some additional area within the district that you could explore.
Well, the area that we're mining in is known as the Oatman mining district, and it has a very colorful history, dates back to the early 1900s. The area has produced over 2.5 million ounces of gold. We have on our property alone more than 150 mining disturbances, old pits and adits and shafts, and we have focused on the moss structure, which runs for about 1.5 kilometers on surface, and that's expected to be where we'll be mining, and the pit will be developed. But on strike to the west and to the east is also open ground, which we have some historic drill holes which are indicating mineralization. We've also been doing surface sampling and mapping, and we have two of what we believe are the most successful and best geologists in the industry. We've got Bud Hillmeyer and Perry Durning as advisors to the company, and they have worked in the Oatman district dating back, Perry worked in the district dating back to the 1970s, and these two individuals have 5 major discoveries, multi-million ounce discoveries to their name. They've received many awards for their success in the exploration business, so we were extremely pleased to bring them on board as advisors and to outline additional targets which we'll be exploring in the near future. So that's something that the shareholders definitely are looking forward to.
Okay, great. I know that when I was on site earlier this year to do the mine tour, you guys had done your first bar pour already from the original rock that you had mined, and now you have declared full commercial production, so the mine is up and running. Can you talk a little bit about what you're seeing there in terms of the development of the leach pad and the process that you've been able to accomplish in 2018?
Well, there's been many improvements, and there's been challenges that have been overcome over the last 6 months, and we see areas that we can optimize the production. But as you've mentioned, we started pouring doré back in the spring of 2018, declared commercial production September 1st, and since that time we've been ramping up our tonnage that we've been putting through the mill facility, or sorry, not the mill facility, but the crushing facility. Initially we were looking to ramp up to about 5,000 tons per day, and we've actually taken that to about an average in the last month of 6,500 tons per day of ore, and that's being distributed onto the heap leach pad and being leached currently. And so we're pouring gold on a weekly basis, or pouring doré, which of course is that mixture of gold and silver, on a weekly basis and shipping off to Asahi in Salt Lake City. So we're pretty excited at being able to continue to ramp up the production, and we're also optimizing the project. We've permitted a power line to the site. We're currently utilizing 8 generators. We look forward in the coming quarters at replacing that system with clean power, running it right to site. That could be a savings of up to about $1.8 million per year. We've also been supplementing our water supply, and we've most recently have drilled 3 wells, and we'll also be bringing those online, which will be a savings of up to $250,000 per month. So we're making lots of optimization changes as we wrap up this project.
Okay, great. And you originally mentioned that the mine life was projected to be 8 to 9 years. Would it be possible, do you think, to change that profile? I don't want you to look too far in the future, but are you guys considering going past that original feasibility study, or do you think that you're going to stick with the time frame and the amount of production that you originally had planned for?
Well, the feasibility called for approximately 42,000 ounce production per year. We're looking at ramping that up to as high as 60,000 ounces per year. Okay. But to go beyond that profile, we would need to step out to the west and the east and start to open up new areas of mineralization where we could be feeding that crushing system. So the existing pit, I would say, would be close to our sort of our top range in that 60 to 65,000 ounce annual production. But to go beyond that, we'll need to draw ore from some of these other areas, and that's where the exploration will come into play.
Okay, great. And from a cost perspective, do you think that you guys are seeing the cost that you expected in the feasibility study? Is that pretty much in line with what you expected as you start ramping into commercial production? Is it too soon to talk about that, or are you pretty close to what you guys estimated you would be at?
No, it's still too early to be able to accurately predict what the all-in sustaining cost will be. Early in the production, of course, you're overcoming lots of obstacles, so those costs are much higher than what the feasibility called for at a steady state, but over the coming quarters, we anticipate we'll have a better idea of what those costs will be.
Okay, great. As far as the company growth profile goes, you did mention that you had the award-winning exploration team, and are there certain areas of the district that they're currently looking at in terms of where they think there may be additional resource, and do you have any time frame for when you may be looking at exploring different areas of the property?
Well, to answer your first question, the lowest lying fruit for Northern Vertex would be on strike with the moss structure, and that's primarily to the west, but also to the east. But to the west, Bud and Perry have done some mapping and have established that the moss structure does continue out to the west for more than a kilometer. So that would be the initial area where we would look to add resources. In terms of new targets that have not been explored to date, two in particular, which both Bud and Perry really like and are two of their favorites, are the Grapevine and the Florence Hill. And the reason they like these targets is because they're blind targets at the surface, but they're very much in line with some of the major discoveries right within the region, and most notably the United Eastern Mine, which is just about 4 miles to the east of us, had 770,000 ounces at over 1.2 ounces per ton extracted. And so this Grapevine and Florence Hill, those are two epithermal blind targets that offer that high-grade potential. And those will be areas that we'd like to drill as well here in the coming year or two. So.
Okay. And just talking just a little bit about the mineralization at the property, this is going to be a surface mine project for the most part. Do you suspect, based on previous mining, that there would be anything at depth that may be an opportunity for you, or do you think the entire district is pretty much going to be more of a surface mining project?
The moss structure is definitely, it comes right to surface. If you were to look at our website, you would see that structure and the ore body coming right to surface, running from east to west, and that's why it's a low-cost open pit heap leach project, is because the ore body does come right to surface. But as mentioned, in this district, there's been very high-grade discoveries made. Those were primarily blind discoveries at depth and epithermal in nature, and that is the Grapevine and the Florence Hill targets that we have on our property. They offer that high-grade underground potential.
Okay, great. It seems though, with the streaming agreement and the work that you've done on the balance sheet and certainly ramping into production, it seems very positive news for the company. I think investors will be pretty happy with that. How would investors go about contacting you if they wanted to talk to your company about maybe making an investment? Are you guys going to be going to any upcoming conferences, or what's the best way to get in contact?
The best way would be to visit our website, and that's northernvertex.com, and they can give us a call directly. We have a toll-free number. That toll-free number is 1-855-633-8798, and I'll just repeat that. That's 855-633-8798, and that's a toll-free number. They can give us a call and talk to Chris, and by all means, we'll get the information forwarded and sent out to any interested parties.
Okay. And also wanted to mention that if people want to get into your news stream, you have a subscription online they can go to the news portion of the website and put in their email address, and all of your news releases will come to their email inbox.
Definitely. We've got a distribution that you can sign up for on our website, and we would get you any information that's disclosed publicly, and that's always of interest. We try to put out regular information for the shareholders so they can be kept up to date on events that are happening on the ground and with the company at a corporate level.
Okay. And in terms of, I think we've covered basically where you guys have come so far in 2018. Have we missed anything? Is there any additional information that you would like to give to investors?
I think just the fact that we're the most recent producing gold mine in America. We have commercial production underway with cash flow. We offer a resource expansion and exploration upside. We've got strong financial partners with Maverix and also Greenstone Resources out of the UK, and we're positioned for U.S. consolidation. We're one of the few projects that have come online and is producing in recent years, and this has been through a challenging resource market since 2011 to where we're at today. We've proven ourselves with the ability to raise funds, to build a mine, to put an operational team in place. So we're pleased to be moving forward and excited about the future.
Yeah, those are very big accomplishments. I know that mines don't get opened every day. It does take a lot of work to get through exploration and development, and I agree it has been very challenging the last few years. But I think things are looking brighter overall for the sector, and so I definitely think you guys are well positioned to capitalize on that. And I think investors would do well to look at your company as a potential part of their portfolio if they're wanting to get into the gold and silver space.
Well, thanks again for that, Rob. And as you said, the precious metals market, gold in particular, has certainly seen some new life here in the most recent months, and especially in the last week. So this is something that, as we're moving into that production, we're at the early stages of the mine cycle development, so that offers a lot of upside.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much. I'll actually be up in Vancouver in January, so I may have a chance to see you guys while I'm up there. But I do appreciate the time you've given, and thank you very much, and until next time.
That's great, Rob. Thank you very much for having us on and being able to tell your listeners about Northern Vertex and the Moss Mine.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you, guys.